Hi, Capricorn. So I'm going to do your reading really quick. Are you looking back at something? You could be no longer looking back at something, actually. Um, the Seven of Pentacles is usually kind of feelings of nostalgia, memories bubbling to the surface. In reverse, that means none of that's going on. Like you're not percolating about nothing. Okay, there's that. It's a slow moving energy, but you're not looking back and you're kind of determined not to look back. What happened back there that you don't want going into? Oh, just no defense. Having no defense. You might feel this about yourself or towards someone else. So you could be feeling defensive in the name of somebody else, or you could be looking back, kind of being like, you know what? I'm not even going to look back at how slow moving I was to defend myself against that, or whatever it was that you just went through. Okay. Yeah, there's your intuition. This is J and B coming out with the Queen of Wands and her little black cat too. Um, it's you're intuitively knowing that you could have been this person the entire time, but instead maybe you went with like your what you knew to be true at the time, and that there's nothing wrong with that. This could be you or someone else, so please apply it where it goes. This just means like maybe you were raised in a really orthodox setting, or you were always expected to have followed these rituals and traditions, or you had a really strict or disciplined set of parents, mother and father, however you want to split that. It could just be you realizing that like this whole time I could have had my own belief systems. I could have been celebrating my own holidays and my own self, more or less. That's kind of what I'm looking at here, because like you're really not trying to look back at what happened before this has arrived into your. I don't know why I'm seeing something move from your peripheral vision into like it's like now directly in front of you, if that makes sense. I don't know how to help you understand that any differently. I'm gonna use the Oracle deck really quickly. Maybe we'll get clarification here. Yeah, gifts. Okay. Something about if you had some type of gifts in the past, and that could have been anything, right? It could have been just things that were given to you that I know for a lot of people, myself included, um, it's really difficult to receive sometimes because you're such a giving person, or because you're more used to or more comfortable with the paradigm of being the caregiver to somebody or something, right? That's a gift, and it's a gift that you can actually get really burnt out doing that if you're overextending yourself. So this is you perhaps even looking back saying, you know what, I know I have that gift of caregiving, but I'm no longer going to look back at all the times that I felt burnt out. That's not even something that I want to consider anymore. So maybe you're just dealing with needing to reignite your own candles on your own cake and your, you know what I'm saying? Like you're just needing to do things on your own, maybe for a little while, to recenter. The slow moving energy is creativity. So you're using the gifts that you had in the past, but you're not looking back. So like if I know I have fine motor skills, for example, I'm really good at eye-hand coordination, for example. Um, this would be me not really looking back at the past sketches, drawings, photograph, like whatever. This is not me milling over the past. This is me moving towards, even if it's slow moving, using that same eye-hand coordination to recreate something, or to create something that can then evolve, rather than becoming stagnant or stuck in one mediumship or one idea, mindset. It's expansion of your mind's eye. That's what it is. And it is slow moving. This is like, I don't know why I'm seeing the witches that have, double toil and trouble, and they all have to share one eyeball. They have to pass it around the three witches, the three witch sisters. This is the eyeball. And it gives them the opportunity to see what they're creating They can't see the ingredients. They can't read the spell book. They can't do anything without that vision. Like the eyeball gives them the vision, and they pass it around from hand to hand, and pop it in and out of different sockets. It's a an energetic plug-in that I feel like you have, and that you've maybe not been able to siphon into the correct area is the word that's coming to mind. And that's strange because I don't usually use words like siphon, but there's a deep-seated kind of like shark in the water. You've smelled blood, something's there, and you like it. Whatever it is, it smells good. Okay, it smells really good. However, there's also a need for you to like kind of drop your defense mechanisms. So I know like the attack mode is literally the primitive automatic autonomic response of a shark. It is. And so the inclination to attack, it is literally that scene in Finding Nemo where the shark is like, I will not eat fish. I will not eat fish. She's like recovering from attacking these fish. Yeah, it's recovery from attacking. Okay. That's kind of what you're going through, and you know that it's something that you need to go through in order for you not to be doing whatever was making you feel ashamed of your creativity, unprotected. You didn't feel protected against that shame. That's perhaps what made you feel not so attractive, beautiful, like you were being perceived in the correct light. This is the two shutters, is what I want to say. I don't know why I'm saying shutterfly. What is shutterfly? It's an app or something like that. Anyway, shutterfly is coming to mind, but so is like the shutters exposure time. So is it more, you want more light exposure, more dark exposure? This is the adjustment. This is like the volume and the radio stations. So you can change the volume, you can change the radio stations. Or you can change the radio stations, you can change the volume. Okay? That's the beauty of standing in your own power, which is why this is the Queen of Wands in particular. You could be in your mover and shaker kind of energy, Capricorn. This could be you put in a pretty concerted effort into literally redirecting. There's just a lot of this siphoning, redirecting. It's like a lab with a whole bunch of tubes connected everywhere. And there are things dripping and percolating and bubbling and boiling and condensing and spinning and separating. It's an entire mechanism that you have going on. And I think that's a technique that you've been using, but it's not yielding you the title. I will tell you that much. This is the title card. This is devotion, and it is in reverse. So I'm not going to lie, whatever it is that you know to be abundant or kind of your optimal self, I don't think you feel that way at the moment, Capricorn. I think I want to say it's like just outside of your reach. Like, oh, you're right there, right? And this is of no, by maybe, I don't know. You'll know how this applies to your life, but I feel like either this is you or someone else going through this. Okay. So quick review. We're not looking back at the things, the gifts. This is like moving on from last year's Christmas, okay, or the holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, right? We're not doing the same Kwanzaa that we did last year. We're not doing the same Hanukkah that we did last year. We're not doing the same anything that we did last year, right? Maybe that's the way you're feeling, is like you want to change things up a little bit. Either kind of revamp, put a little pizzazz in it. Your creativity has been, I don't know why, I'm almost seeing you put together like a feast or something for a whole bunch of people. And it's like something has wet your palate. And I don't know why I'm hearing that or seeing that. I guess it's with the creativity and the paintbrush right there. That your palette can be obviously the palette of paint that you're using on an easel and a canvas, but it can also be your mouth. Okay? It can also be your tongue, your palette. And part of your palette, or your ability to have a diversified palette, is your ability to smell, which is called your olfactory senses. This is something that I don't think you were really prepared for, is to kind of have this combination of traditional thought or belief come into a literal play for you. So this is like the creator of My Little Pony. How on earth did they decide to tattoo something on the derriere of that specific toy and then make it scratch and sniff? Like, that's whoever created that, that's ingenious. And it is a little bit, I don't know, like it's like a dog. Like what made you want to walk up to a horse and sniff its butt just randomly? Even like it's no offense, and I'm not laughing at anybody. I personally loved My Little Pony, but it's also the same thing as like, you know, it's a reality of combining two separate ideas that have not necessarily been combined before. It's that idea of having paint that tastes a specific way. Each of the paints do, right? For little kids who like to eat paint, maybe we should just make it out of edible items. You know, use some acai berry for the blue and some raspberry for the red, and you know, some uh, turmeric for the orange. You know what I'm saying? Like, come up with some edible things so that people could combine the palette with the palette, quite literally. Voila, right? That's kind of defensive thought that you need. That's the area in which you need to drop your defenses, is maybe thinking outside of the box, maybe expanding your viewpoint beyond what you had initially considered. And that doesn't mean that you were wrong or that you have to, that's what I'm saying, looking back at that. It doesn't mean that you have to beat yourself up about not getting it correct the first time. You have this opportunity now. Mhm. You have this opportunity now. And if you want, you could go ahead and seize the day. Seize the day and take the title. It's something it's feasible. The problem that I think you're gonna encounter, especially with this type of energy coming together, let me just put this Queen of Wands down for a moment because you're a Capricorn. This is much more interesting to a Capricorn, this part. This is almost about you sorting out in your own brain for yourself the difference between right and wrong. The volume that you feel is acceptable to live your life out loud. And I don't mean that literally as in like how loud does your radio go. I'm not talking about that, although I love stereo sounds, right? There's a need, I guess, to find this the gray matter that is what you want to make a title out of. Like, what is the um what is your absolute pinnacle achievement from claiming this title and keeping your wits about you? So as you're eating the paint from the palette, let's just pretend this is our paint palette. What is it that you're being inspired to draw? How does how does turmeric and acai taste together? What does that inspire your brain? The two lobes of your brain. What does that automatically trigger? Is there a nostalgic feeling that arises, or not so much? Does it remind you of a gift, the gift of a taste that you've only tasted once before in your life, and it was at your auntie auntie's daughter's, you know, sister's house or something? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like very obscurity. Like, out of obscurity is where you're gonna have to pull this. And if you cannot pull it out of obscurity on your own, then I think you're gonna get frustrated not being able to get the title. And I'm only saying that because you're a Capricorn. I don't think it has to do with you not being worth the title. I think it has everything with you totally being worth the title. So I think if you want it, you'll take it. You'll get it. You'll go for it no matter what. But also, you have right now, you're in the contemplation process about that. Like, is this really what I want? Is this a commitment that I'm going to keep to myself or others? Is this something that I even feel like investing in long term? You can really love something a lot, like you really a lot, and it can still not be for you on a lifelong, like a lifelong scale. I don't know how to explain that. Has everything to do with just being able to balance things nicely. You can't always, you're not always going to be as flexible as you are right in this moment, maybe tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'm just giving examples, but you understand what I'm trying to say, Capricorn. That you kind of, there's something about needing to seize the day, or like um whatever it is that you're doing. I don't think you need to rush creativity, but I do think you need to go ahead and figure out what it is that you're doing, like how you're going to navigate that change, the siphoning, how you're going to conglomerate all of these tubes and beakers and bubbles and gadgets all together in a different configuration. Like if you had to get up and move right now and all I could do was like replace all the pieces, how would you put them back together again if you had not memorized everything? That's what I'm saying, is that you can still, like, same outcome, different configuration, if that makes sense. The configurations create the algorithms that then create the rhythmic unison. Okay. All right. Let me get one more. Line of clarity. I'll do it from the animal deck since I just picked it up. That actually, the turtle, I didn't take it because it's from a different read that I did earlier. I hadn't shuffled quite yet. Excuse-moi. Okay, so let's see what comes out for gifts in reverse or gifts upright. So there we go. This is your playful otter gift, okay? Maybe that's your forte. You know how to play. Maybe you're a jokester. Maybe you crack jokes or something. You don't want to keep telling the same set of jokes, mostly because your audience will get bored if you're a comedian. If you are just a fun person to be around, I don't think you're looking back at the times that weren't fun anymore. I think maybe you've done that. I think you've been there, done that. There's something about like, come on, like seize the day. Let's go. Yeah, stop talking about it. Let's go. Okay, now we've had enough of the soapbox like preaching, right? But now we're ready to actually reach out and touch faith. And it's really about not literally touching anybody, but it's about figuring out for yourself this portion. That's the faith. You've not yet grabbed it for yourself, at least not 100%. I don't think you need to grab it 100%. I think you're good. Okay. You're good. What I'm getting from that energy with the creativity and the rabbit, especially with the black egg being right behind it, that's basically that's the point of this. There was a hawk at the bottom of the deck. I am gonna shuffle again before I get the top of the read, but it's worth stating that like there's a hawk there, just so you know. I'm gonna show you this right here. Okay. This playful energy is something that you can reproduce, Capricorn. In fact, that's what your forte. Okay, you're a very charismatic, charming, playful, lovable individual who also knows how to like hawk up a loogie when you need to. You know how to. I'm just seeing an owl hawking up an owl pellet for some reason. I don't know why that's coming out. Oh, okay. In the process of dissecting your own mentality to find this title, right? You realize the beauty in the small things. It's the dissection of the good, bad, and the ugly. Unfortunately, that's the three sisters passing around the eyeball. Okay. Double, toil and trouble. This third one is a trouble. That's the trouble that comes along with understanding that there's been shame based off of something or another that you were not recognizing before. Like I said, about a belief system, about a title, maybe a part of yourself, maybe a part of someone else, maybe a portion of your vivaciousness, the way that you've been perceived or that you would like to be perceived by the world. I'm just seeing this bird's eye view, looking down at this right here, right? So you can have this really beautiful mindset, but if you can't translate, I'm seeing Stephen Hawking with a beautiful mind. If you can't express that in an eloquent way, it becomes eloquent, just translucent, kind of um, forgettable energy, and that's just it's the last thing that you are, Capricorn. But I think that the like it's like telling the same set of jokes over and over again, or a record being stuck in a loop or on repeat. It doesn't mean that the song isn't great. It just means that after X amount of times of listening to a specific record, you saw this as a record, right? And it was just going, like, how if there's a scratch, it just repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats. That's not the type of, I want to say, replay. Remember, that's the playful energy that you were trying to reproduce. I think what you want is a brand new Easter egg kind of idea that could be applied to a different, how they do Christmas in July. Maybe you want to do Easter in December and Christmas in July. It's like breakfast for dinner, right? Or dinner for breakfast. Novel idea right there. So that's what I'm trying to say is that, like, it doesn't have much to do, it doesn't have to be that deep. It doesn't have to be that serious. It doesn't have to be that severe. This could be, or it could not be. You will know how this applies. What I'm saying is that the potential energy for you to literally rise to the occasion and incubate that title, you have the wherewithal, darling, and you have the gown to wear with it. It's all the above. You could have okay, so I'm seeing A, B, C, and this is D, all of the above, right? I don't know if you just don't want that. I don't know if you maybe you're a woman, okay, and maybe you just don't have a partner, or maybe um you and your partner are now having fun trying to reproduce together, knowing full well you have a beautiful baby, but it just hasn't happened yet. It could be something that simple, that complicated, that weird, that messy, that whatever. All I'm trying to say is that, like, you're moving, you're shaking, you're completely trying to stop being so on guard about everything, right? However, I also think that you should still be yourself, Capricorn. I don't know why my voice got really scratchy just then. You could be feeling a little bit, there was some shame, that shame card in the reverse, and defense in reverse. If you are going through some type of shame, just remember that, first of all, you shouldn't care what other people think about you. It's hard not to, because that's what people expect you to do, is care about what they think. But I also think if you're allowing people's mentality about you to invade your space, you have every right to get up and excuse yourself. It's a thing. You don't have to be. There was a speech that I listened to at some point, and I found it so powerful, and maybe some people find it wimpy. But it was a woman just saying, if she goes through this long list, if people do this to you, and if people do that to you, and if people blah, 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 and blah, 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 she says, let them, after each one of those statements of harm or hurt or lashing out, competition that other people can have with you, she says, just let them, just let them. And what she means by that is that everybody will eventually be the snake that eats its own tail. You're here on this planet, either, you either realize that there's a reason, and we've reviewed all the how it's like a billionth of a fraction of a chance that any of us would be sitting here intelligent enough to have a conversation as a human being that has language as a medium of thought transference. Anyway, that's what I'm trying to say. You either believe every day of your life is a miracle or that none of it is a miracle at all. And you can live that way. That's really the black and white of it. Finding the happy medium in the middle is up to each individual human. That is not a common experience, just like common sense is sometimes does not feel common. And there are different strokes for different folks and different lost remotes and different seas and different oceans and different, okay, like there's as many different fingerprints on this earth. I think like if we put every fingerprint of every human that's ever existed into a huge beach, onto a huge beach, right? And each one of them was a grain of sand, pretty sure we wouldn't even begin to make an impact. I'm not kidding. I think we would not have enough sand to cover the earth at all. So what I'm trying to say, Capricorn, is that I think you're having like almost an existential crisis. It's a looking within so that you can see without. I don't know why that it sounded weird. It sounded all wise. It was probably super stupid. Anyway, take it, leave it. I don't care. I don't think you do either. Bye, cabbies. Bye until next time.